Hi everyone, this is Miss Nguyen. So I'm going to go over a digital technique for taking notes. So one of the reasons why I want you to take digital notes a certain way, meaning with additional annotations, is because I found that generally speaking, students that handwrite notes, even though they're not necessarily doing as many annotations, the act of writing down the work engages their brain enough and forces them to rethink what they're writing down because they're trying to reword it so they can write less. And as a result, they end up grabbing on and getting a little bit of a better hold of the information that's coming at them because they're engaging more parts of the brain and thinking a little about what they're writing down a little bit more critically. On the other hand, when students take digital notes, I find that that can be sometimes problematic, especially if all the student does is copy paste directly off the slides, because what they're actually doing is they're playing a very passive role in their learning and they're barely engaging with the material. And as a result, they aren't really grabbing onto the information. But digital notes are awesome if you know how to do them. You because they basically provide a living document for all your learning. You can keep going back to it, revising it, adding more information as you learn, copying it, and reformatting it all the time. I love digital notes, but you need to know how to make them in a way that's actually useful to you. So, generally speaking, my tips are to first, when you're doing your digital notes, is get a template going. Okay, you can make your own, or you can use mine. So this is an example template for bio honors. So if you're bio honors, you're going to be writing your chapter number as well as topic down for the header. And for anatomy, if you're doing those notes, instead of a chapter number, you're given a unit number. So I'll give you some examples. So these are example titles. And by the way, you're going to rename your assignment as well over here. The assignment template of the name will be different depending if you have anatomy or biology. Again, just follow the portfolio instructions you were given in class. Okay, so at this point, what you want to do, first step, is to go to the notes for your lecture, the slides first, and then after you do the slides, you're going to go and actually watch the lecture. So first, what I'm going to do is I'm just simply going to go into the slides that correspond with the notes and just go in and grab all the text and copy paste very quickly. Okay, now you want to copy paste without formatting. So if you don't know how to do that, there's some tips and tricks in this slide. I'll also try to put a link to how to copy paste without formatting. Okay. You could copy paste with weird formatting, but then you'll have to go in and put a little bit more effort in reformatting the text you just pasted, which is kind of a waste of time. So for me, I use Control Shift V when I paste, and that gets rid of all the weird format and stuff like that. So, anyways, I'm gonna do that, and I'll be right back, and I'll show you what my notes look like. By the way, I'm in the process of copying pasting, so just a few things. Um, if you're in anatomy, you want to add the guiding questions. Bio honors, you don't really have that. As you're copying and pasting, the formatting will get wonky. So part of like making sure you're organized and stuff is to delete and get rid of anything weird that doesn't quite match your slides. And then if you notice there's any vocabulary words, now's the time while you're doing this to bold it or put it in another color or highlight that or whatever you want. Just do something to make it distinct, okay? So here's another issue of reformatting. As I'm copying pasting, I'm getting numbers occasionally, but not always. That's not quite matching what I have on my slides. And part of that is because I'm actually copying pasting without formatting. You could do with formatting and then just change the font and stuff if you want. But either way, you're going to have to play around with the text just a tiny bit to get it to look the way you want. Okay? All right, so here's another way to copy paste your notes. I pasted it without doing any of that weird getting rid of the format pasting thing. And now it's all a little bit wonky in terms of shape, but that's pretty easy to handle. All you have to do is just highlight the section you want to fix, put it in the right font, maybe pick a more standard shaped or text you want to use, and there you go. Okay. Now that's a lot more similar to what I have here, except there's a few little wonky things. I don't know why there's a number one here, so I'll just go ahead and fix that. Now, something else that sometimes happens in your notes is you'll see a picture come up over and over again. So I usually just snapshot it or just grab it out of the slides as I see it. Now I can even make a little bit more creative decisions. For instance, I don't have to follow the exact same bullet or lettering scheme as in my notes. I can just shift it. For example, over here they have drawing, like a whole section for drawing under the letter A, and then the notes after that for how it works. I don't need that drawing. I can just kind of have the drawing off to the edge, delete this thing, and then just have a section that says how signals cross a synapse and have my information there. Now, sometimes in the act of doing the notes, you'll realize there's a mistake. For instance, this slide goes from 2 to 4. Oops. So if you notice a teacher makes a mistake like that, you can email them to let them know, and then you can just go ahead and correct it yourself because these are your notes. Okay, so you've reached the end of your notes, for instance, and now I'm at the key takeaways sections, the very end slides of the notes. Now, these key takeaways are basically repeats, just in a slightly different wording of your prior information. So you have two options you can do during these key takeaways. You can just copy paste them and have a whole summary sections at the end of your notes, or you can not bother copying paste them and look at the information here and just highlight where it's critical in your notes because that's something important. Now, I feel for digital notes, most of you will find copying and pasting the takeaways for the digital notes way easier. But for those of you who are handwriting the notes, this is kind of tedious. So what I would do is instead of doing the key takeaway section, I would just go signal transmission is important to passing across synaptic cleft. All right, then I would just go back to the area where they talk about that section and then write a little mini version of what that was, or find the section that talks about it and highlight it. So either way could work. So in this case, I might write something like this down that's like a really quick bullet if I can't find that information elsewhere in my notes to just highlight or star. But honestly, I would leave the key takeaways alone until you actually watch the lecture. So now I have this entire document that I made. Seems a little tedious, but for me, it took me about 5 to 8 minutes ish to complete this document with information I just copy pasted straight from the slide. So now I'm free to watch the video lecture without stressing about writing everything down. And as information comes up in the lecture, I'll just put like spaces in it, use my color, and then just add information that's new coming up in the slide or that clarifies these principles that are coming up in the slide. And that's it. So that's how you do digital notes. And if you find also in the slides that there's a new drawing that comes up or something like that that you think is very helpful, such as this one, what you could do is just enlarge the screen and then take a snapshot of it, however you need to get that snapshot. Sometimes there's text in the way. And if that's the case, you can always keep it as a smaller screen and then take a snapshot of the smaller version that's a little easier to view, and then just add that to your notes. So that's the idea. You want to do that quick digital copy paste from the slides so that you can really just focus on learning and comprehending during the lesson from the lecture video and adding to your notes or helping you go back into your notes and summarize or reword things a little bit better. Okay, so that's the idea of digital notes. All right, good luck, and I highly recommend using digital notes if you can get it to work for you. But remember, you want to go beyond just simply copying and pasting straight from the slide. All right, bye.